what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy. Coach Brian Kelly addresses the media in his Monday press conference, and, you know, he starts out, Jake, and it's almost as if he's trying to offer a different perspective on the defense a bit, right? Saying, I think there's a bit more good there than people are maybe giving credit for. And he talks about, mitigating some of the damage early on, right? Holding to field goals.
Yeah.
So that the offense could kind of settle in and find its way. He loved the sequence, and we didn't give enough credence to this, but after the fake field goal where they find a way to still man up and hold them to a field goal. Absolutely. We should have done a better job of highlighting that. And then he offers a solution to the defense. Like what is the problem? And I think it kind of, when I heard it, Jake, it kind of tied everything we were talking about on Monday, tied it all together. And so here it is. This is Kelly 6. This is what Brian Kelly thinks he needs to see out of his defense to improve.
We have to do the ordinary things extraordinarily well. And I know that's an overused cliche that we hear so many times, but we're having a tendency of trying to chase too many plays on defense. And what I mean by that, we're trying to make plays that are really not our place to make, and we just need to do our job. And I think once we settle down and just do the ordinary things extraordinarily well, this can be a really good defense because it's shown itself to have resiliency and toughness and the players necessary to do that.
And Jake, why I say I think this ties it all together is because remember, both me and you were kind of expressing a sentiment that it's weird because you watch the film and there are really good individual defensive moments. Mm-hmm. There are times where it felt like the D-line was kind of dominating in the pass rush. There were times there were great tackles made from the secondary, great run fills by like a Weeks or a Brooks, right? But the problem is it was erased with these kind of just undisciplined breakdowns, right? And so that's exactly what Kelly's getting at here. It's like, you have the talent to win big in the rush. You have the talent to be, but you just need to play like a solid cover 2 when you're asked to. You got to do the basic things, and if you fix that, well, then the defense might be kind of good.
I think one of the plays that he would be talking about there, and you and I talked about it off air yesterday, was one of the plays where you get pressure on KJ Jefferson. You almost have him down. Yep. You don't quite get him down. He rolls to the right, and you've got everything covered. There's nowhere for the football to go. And, in fact, you've got a player for KJ Jefferson. And so you're like, okay, it's a good ball play for us. And then Zy Alexander, for whatever reason, allows his guy to go past him. He stops. He points at somebody who's already being covered by another player, and the tight end runs right behind him. It's an easy touchdown. That's what he's talking about. You have it covered. You're trying to do too much. You're trying to do someone else's job, right? And then you get beat on your individual matchup, and it's down the sidelines for a touchdown. So, yes, I agree with him, but you got to get rid of those things. Like, that is a veteran player that has to know scramble rules. Yep. You have to realize that you have him basically man at this point. Everything else is covered. And you'd rather, if KJ Jefferson runs for 7 yards, we'll live with it. But then you let a 50-yard touchdown behind you because you were trying to do someone else's job.
So actually, Kelly addressed that. Here is him talking about that blown coverage.
This is not about one singular play. This is about staying focused all the time, doing your job. And he lost sight and in terms of what he should have been doing on that particular play. What's really important here is, more than anything else, our players can't be trying to make plays. He saw the quarterback as a run threat. That's not his job. His job was to be the deep half defender. Go do your job. There's somebody else assigned to him. And we just have to be consistent with that. And nobody has patience with that. But we do have some young players out there that sometimes we have to understand that the learning curve, there's a little bit of it going on right now.
Not a young player, a player that's new to this level. So, it's new to him, but you'd like to see him only make that mistake one time.
Yeah, and look, let's be clear. One thing that this staff has been very good about is when they identify something as an issue, they have tended to get it fixed. And I also feel like there's been a lot of honesty in the last couple of years of press conferences about you know what? I know what you maybe interpret the film at, but this is what we interpret it as, and we think there's actually some positive building blocks here. I mean, Tennessee last year was the ultimate example of that. We all come away, that's pathetic, you got smoked. And they're like, well, yes, but also, like, we kind of really liked what happened with the offense. We feel like we showed growth points, and then they ended up showing that. So to me, it's so clear now where they need improvement. And so I'm kind of feeling pretty bullish about them finding it. And they need to, because this week's a big do your job week.
Yes.
Jackson Dart is actually the SEC's leading quarterback rusher, barely edging out Jaden Daniels right now. We all know Lane Kiffin is an offensive wunderkind, mastermind, whatever. The offense is not as statistically overwhelming this year as it generally is. But, like, if you want to have busted coverages, if you can't play basic zones, if you can be as easily manipulated as what you saw this last game out of Arkansas, well, Ole Miss represents a far greater threat than did Arkansas. So I actually like this do your job becoming the very clear mantra right ahead of a game where it's going to take on even added importance.
Yeah, and when you look at this Ole Miss team, they want to run the football. It's something we talk about all the time. I know for whatever reason people assume that Lane Kiffin is an air raid guy. It's just not who he is. He wants to run the football. But this year it's been surprising. They can't run it like they've always ran it. Like Quinshon Judkins, who was like all-world, all-first-team, SEC, on every All-American list, right now he's 13th in rushing in the SEC. He's got 57 carries, only 201 yards, 3.5 yards per carry.
He averaged almost like 7 yards a carry, didn't he, last year?
As a freshman.
Yeah.
Yeah, so teams have started to scheme against him, but it has opened up things for Jackson Dart. To T-Bob's point, he's 44 carries, 219 yards, 5 yards per carry, and I believe he has a 68-yarder, so he does have the ability to hit a home run as well. So it's a little bit different than you've played in years past, but a lot of the same things are still going to happen. They're still going to run everything. Gap scheme runs, not only with Judkins, but with Jackson Dart. They will run some Q power, Q counter, some different things, and then when you start to creep up, not attention to detail because you want to stop the run, that's when they RPO right behind your head. So that's where you have to be careful with this offense.
Do your job.
And just your job. Dude, just your job.
Nobody else's job.
And trust your teammates.
It's the ultimate team sport for a reason, right? It's the teams. There's a reason why Sean Payton, Bill Belichick, and other great coaches have posted this mantra all over their locker rooms before, and it's because it's what works. Now, offensively, when LSU has the ball, there's no way that you can look at what this team's done this year and not feel great about it. And one thing we talked about on Monday was last year when Jaden would have had a start like that, he kind of maybe would have stayed like that the rest of the game. Here's how he explains Daniels finding a way after that bad first quarter and a half to bounce back and dominate the remainder.
Certainly, this is about Jaden Daniels' experience and, knowing what he needs to do to get himself back into rhythm. He was not in great rhythm early. He saw that. He sensed that. He knew that he had to find the right triggers himself because he had been down that road before, and he couldn't get himself back into that rhythm. So I think just the experience himself that he's had to allow himself to find that rhythm that he needed is the difference, and reminding him of it. His drop was a little bit slow, and then he rushed his delivery. He got back into a great rhythm, and it was pretty clear by the second quarter he was back to that kind of consistency.
So that was one of the big debates of the offseason. Could you see improvement out of a player that had as much experience as Jaden Daniels? And, it's undeniable fact that you have and that you are. And what Kelly's talking about right there speaks to it. It also gives you maybe the tiniest bit of insight and appreciation for how complicated the quarterback position is, because it's hard on the outside to ever think about things like footwork being as important in that position as it is. I think everybody kind of knows it's vitally important, but you never really think about it. So to hear that when he's looking uncomfortable, maybe it's because he actually wasn't dropping quite quickly enough, which was leading to a rush delivery. Like there's all these tiny little interconnecting elements where if even one of them is off, the whole thing can kind of be off. And again, last year, he couldn't refine that timing. And so it's a huge sign for the potential of this year that he could.
Yeah, and you saw it in the first couple of series. You saw it with, some of the throws to Malik Neighbors. You were bouncing a couple of different passes. You were too far inside on another pass. And would you like to have a perfect, clean game? Yes, you would. But the fact that he was able to go in there, fix those things. And I mentioned yesterday, like he had a full-out conversation with Brian Kelly on the sidelines after one of the times they didn't score a touchdown. They had to settle for a field goal. And so this is a coach that knows his quarterback as well and kind of knows which buttons he has to push to get him back right. Now, would you like to have a fast start? Absolutely. Some of these games that you don't have a fast start, they could cost you. I mean, Florida State game, and this is for the entire offense, not just Jaden Daniels. If you have a fast start, which it looked like you did because you got right down there, and if you punch that in, what does that game look like? We'll never know, but I think it looks completely different for the Tigers. And so it's just one of those things, right? Because you love the fact that he can come back like that, but you'd love to see him because he did it the week before he did.
Yeah.
I mean, the week before, not just Jaden Daniels, the entire offense started fast. So they have that ability. But it is good to see some adversity there. You're not playing well. You figure it out.
And, I mean, they started fast against Florida State.
Yes.
They blew it in the red zone, but they started fast. And they started fast against Grambling. So, again, it's the exception, not the rule, up to this point in the season. Now, doing it on the road in Oxford, I mean, Oxford's not the craziest, but it's still going to be intimidating. It's still going to be loud. It's going to be crazy. You're going to have a lot of Ole Miss belief there.
Ole Miss really, really, really puts a lot of emphasis, just like Arkansas, into this game every year.
As they should. As should LSU fans. I mean, LSU fans loathe Ole Miss. You're talking about you talk about old school rivalries, right? It's like them and Tulane, with the Ole Miss kind of carrying its relevance into the modern era.
I always say, Grandpa's age, Tulane. Dad's age, Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Our age,
it's kind of a mixed bag.
A little bit of Florida, but then it turned into Alabama.
Yeah. I mean, Auburn had their time too, maybe earlier on. But here is another thing that we didn't discuss that much on Monday was the Harold Perkins roughing the passer. I know a lot of people were very upset about the roughing penalty. Here is Brian Kelly's take on it.
He was running full speed at a quarterback that was out of the pocket and just trying to get him on the ground. Hit him in the chest with his arm, extended his arm into his chest, didn't get to the head, didn't get to the neck, and it was interpreted as unnecessary. We think that was as unnecessary as, Logan Diggs, late in the game, getting a two-hand hit into the face. So we'll leave it up to our, supervisor officials to give us guidance on that, and he'll look at the plays and report back to us.
Whoever reports back should have to do it on camera. And have to do it with the plays in the background. Because you send the plays in, they tell you, oh, we missed that one. Yeah, no, you know what? Yeah, you missed it. You should have to do that like publicly, like with the play playing behind you. And the Logan Diggs, did the TV copy show it? Did the TV copy show Diggs getting shoved in his face?
I don't actually remember this.
Okay, I was in the stadium. Logan Diggs makes a great run and is like celebrating, like looking at no one, just looking past the end zone, kind of like flexing a little bit, walking on his own. The Arkansas player, after the play, two-hand shoves him in the face.
Wow.
Well, after seconds after the whistle, nothing. Back judge was literally right there, right? And then, like the roughing the passer, like that was egregiously bad.
And it's like, I'm fine with the Diggs thing not being called, but don't call the other. I'm down to not call anything.
If you would have seen the Diggs, you'd have been like,
Yeah. No, I know. I want to, I want to stay consistent with my championing of dirty play.
Which is
But you got to accept the
fine,
consequences if you go.
But you have to be better at hiding it
yes,
too.
Fair.
Right?
Absolutely fair.
I mean, my 10-year-old played soccer against a team that was aggressive, and he thought he was a hockey enforcer. I'm like, Hudson, you have to hide it a little bit better, right? We got to have this conversation. But the roughing the passer, like you're playing a quarterback that's bigger than you are.
Yeah.
He's a really good runner. He's gotten outside the pocket all day long. There was nothing to the head or neck area. And you felt like you had to try to stop him, in which in real time, again, being there at the game, I was shocked that they called that.
Yeah, I was too. Oh wow, it was McLaughlin. It was Nudie.
I don't know.
On Diggs. Damn, dude. All right, and then finally, like I said, the most important update. Here is Brian Kelly offering about a minute long on Greg Brooks and how his fight is going.
Greg is Making progress, and all I can tell you is this is such a long and lengthy process. And as of Saturday, which was the last report, I'm going to be there today. I'll go to there today. We've tried to. So many people want to get there, and I'm sure so many here too. But he needs rest. He needs to recover. And when you have a lot of people going there, and it just takes a lot of his energy away from him. So he's starting to make the kind of recovery that his doctors want. And, we're just, obviously every single day we're getting to the point where he's making that recovery necessary for him to be up and around. So we're making progress.
Love to hear it, and want that to continue. Certainly praying and putting all energy towards that continuing. Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.